The son of a police officer who was killed in the line of duty tried to win his dad's car at an auction but was outbid when the price far exceeded what he had. Just as he thought he had lost the last vestige of his late father, a stranger walked over to him and handed him something he never expected. After Sam Brownlee was killed in the line of duty, 19-year-old Tanner Brownlee was determined to salvage anything left behind by his late father. Although he managed to inherit his father's motorcycle jacket, it was too big for him to wear. Instead, he was hoping for something he would be able to use. Soon after, Tanner was notified that his dad's patrol car would be up for auction to raise money for charity. The Dodge Charger was appraised at $12,500. So he raised enough money to ensure that he would be able to make a reasonable bid. Unfortunately, he would soon discover that he wasn't the only one who wanted his father's old patrol car. On the day of the charity event, the auctioneer began taking bids. While Tanner managed to keep up with the flow of the crowd, his bid limit soon approached and was quickly surpassed. In fact, the ending bid was over $60,000, which was far above what the teen could afford. Grief swept across Tanner's face as he accepted the fact that he had lost the last remnant of his father's memory. His mother and younger brother tried to comfort him, but it was a fruitless endeavor. Just then, a stranger approached him with an offer he couldn't refuse. Steve Wells, the winning bidder, stepped up to claim his prize as the fallen officer's family watched in disappointment. Then, to their astonishment, he walked straight over to Tanner and reached out his hand to give him the keys. "Tanner, here's your car," Wells said. Shocked, the teen accepted the keys to his late father's prized possession. As the reality of the situation washed over him, Tanner hung his head and sobbed before standing up to embrace the man who gifted his father's car to him. "I don't know the word for it, but it's sentimental for me," Tanner later said. Tanner explained that he had only met Wells in the parking lot before the auction and had a short conversation with him about his plan to win back his father's patrol car. That was when Wells concocted a plan to help Tanner as well as give to charity, come reports. "He was telling me that he was going to buy the car for the women's shelter. And then when his son told him my story, he from then on was just like, I'm going to buy the car for him," said Tanner. For Steve Wells to spend that amount of money on someone he didn't even know, some kid, some 19-year-old at the time, it's just awesome for him to do that. Tanner's story has since gone viral, garnering millions of views. While he appreciates the positive response he received from people all over the world, he just wants to live a quiet life remembering the short time he got to spend with his dad. "I'll go places and people will be like, 'Hey, Tanner,'" he said. "It's kind of weird that a bunch of people know my face and stuff like that." Since inheriting his dad's car, Tanner Brownlee has taken special care of the vehicle, refusing to drive it out of the state. He plans to pass down the car to his own children someday along with the story of his father's legacy. Steve Wells gave more than just a car that day. He gave a grief-stricken family a piece of their lost loved one back. Tanner will be forever grateful to Wells for restoring his father's patrol car to him so that he can feel closer to his dad. The touching story of Tanner and his father's patrol car spread quickly, resonating with people from all walks of life. It wasn't just about a car, it was about the bond between a father and son, a bond Tanner feared he would never be able to hold onto again. For Tanner, his father's patrol car represented the pride, sacrifice, and dedication his father had shown throughout his life, and knowing it was almost lost was devastating. After the auction, Tanner's gratitude for Steve Wells only grew. Reflecting on the day, Tanner described it as one of the most intense emotional roller coasters of his life. "One minute, I thought I'd lost everything, and the next, I was given the most incredible gift I could have ever imagined," he said. "It's a moment I'll never forget. The memory of his father was now locked into something tangible, something he could see, touch, and remember every day." For Tanner's mother, the car represented something more profound than just a piece of machinery. She expressed her own gratitude toward Wells, explaining that his act of kindness didn't just impact Tanner, it was a gift for their entire family. "It's like a part of Sam is still here with us," she said. She described how she often sees Tanner sitting in the car, simply reminiscing about his father. Wells, who had no prior connection to the family, was overwhelmed by the response to his act. He never expected his gesture would reach millions and resonate with so many people. In interviews, Wells explained that he was just acting on impulse, inspired by Tanner's story and his own respect for law enforcement. "When I saw the look on Tanner's face, I knew I couldn't let him walk away empty-handed," he shared. As the days passed, Tanner began to realize that his father's legacy wasn't just about memories or objects, but the way his father had touched the lives of others. He started learning more about his dad's career as a police officer, listening to stories from colleagues and friends. Each story he heard brought him closer to understanding the man his father had been: brave, selfless, and dedicated to serving his community. Tanner also received messages from people across the country who were moved by his story. Many shared their own experiences of loss and the little pieces of their loved ones they held on to. These connections became a source of comfort for Tanner, showing him that he wasn't alone in his journey of grieving and remembering. The story even inspired local community members to support fallen officers and their families in various ways. Wells's generosity sparked a movement, with donations pouring into the women's shelter he had intended to support through the auction. People were eager to contribute, feeling inspired by the story's message of selflessness and kindness. For Wells, the aftermath of his gesture became a reflection of the good that can come from even the smallest act of kindness. He never anticipated becoming a figure of admiration, but he felt honored to be part of Tanner's journey. Sometimes all it takes is one moment of compassion to change someone's life, Wells remarked in a later interview. In the following months, Tanner dedicated himself to maintaining his father's car in pristine condition as a tribute to his memory. He polished it regularly, taking it for drives around town where people would often stop and ask him about the story behind it. Each time, Tanner would recount his father's life, his tragic death, and the incredible moment when a stranger gave him the last piece of his father back. Tanner even organized a small gathering on his father's birthday, inviting his father's colleagues, family, friends, and community members to come and remember Sam Brownlee's legacy. They shared stories, laughed, and cried together, celebrating the life of a man who had given so much to his community. The event became an annual tradition, a way for Tanner to keep his father's memory alive. Over time, Tanner's father's car became more than just a family treasure. It was a symbol of resilience, love, and hope. Tanner's experience inspired him to work toward a career in law enforcement, following in his father's footsteps. "I want to honor my dad's legacy by serving the community just like he did," Tanner said. He enrolled in college with plans to join the police force, driven by the same dedication he had seen in his father. The story of Tanner Brownlee and Steve Wells is one that continues to inspire many people. It's a reminder of how acts of kindness, no matter how unexpected, can change lives in ways one might never imagine. Tanner's journey from loss to hope showcases the power of compassion and the way it can rebuild lives touched by grief. Now, whenever Tanner sees his father's car, he's reminded not only of his dad but of the kindness that restored a precious piece of his life. It's a story he plans to share with his future children, teaching them about their grandfather's sacrifice and the stranger's generosity that made their family whole again. As the years went by, Tanner's connection to his father's car deepened. Every time he sat behind the wheel, memories of his dad would come rushing back, reminding him of his father's bravery and selflessness. The car became a place of solace where he would often sit quietly, feeling a sense of comfort and strength. To Tanner, it was as though his dad was there with him, watching over him, guiding him, and giving him the courage to move forward in life. Wells, too, stayed in touch with Tanner, checking in on him from time to time. The bond they shared grew into an unexpected friendship, built on mutual respect and admiration. Wells had not only given Tanner a priceless piece of his father, but also offered support, advice, and encouragement. Over the years, he became a trusted mentor, someone Tanner could turn to whenever he needed guidance. Their friendship became a testament to the lasting impact that a single act of kindness can have. Looking back, Tanner realized that his father's legacy wasn't just about the life he had lived, but also about the lives he had touched, including his own. The car became a living symbol of that legacy, a reminder that even in loss there can be hope and healing. Tanner knew he would continue to honor his father's memory by carrying forward his values and making a difference in his own way. In every sense, the car wasn't just a possession, it was a part of his father's soul, and it gave him the strength to live his life with purpose, courage, and love. In time, Tanner's dedication to honoring his father's memory inspired others in his community. People who had heard his story began reaching out, expressing how much it moved them and how it reminded them of the importance of family and selflessness. Tanner often felt humbled by the outpouring of support, and he found himself speaking at local events, sharing his story to inspire others to hold their loved ones close and appreciate the moments they have. He felt as though he was carrying on his father's legacy, spreading hope and resilience just as his dad would have wanted. Every anniversary of his father's passing, Tanner took the car for a quiet drive along the route his father used to patrol. It became a tradition, a ritual of remembrance, allowing him to feel a little closer to his dad. As he drove, he would reflect on all he'd learned from his father's life and from Wells's act of kindness, realizing that both men had shown him the value of courage, compassion, and strength. With his father's memory close to his heart and his community's support behind him, Tanner knew he would live a life that honored his dad, one filled with purpose, gratitude, and a commitment to helping others.